All right, guys, how's it going? Well, I was hoping you wouldn't see me again today. I was kicked back over there on the sofa after having my dinner. And Craig Hope, unfortunately, came out with a new article. So we've got to take a look at it. We're going to do that in this video. I'll try and do it as quickly as possible. Before I get into that, Newcastle are closing in on a deal for Nick Volter-Made. Do you remember Liverpool was sniffing around him some time ago? And he's a very, very good player. And if you're a Newcastle United fan, I'd be very excited about it personally. So that will be something I'll be really looking at if it, concludes. So obviously I want it to conclude because of the Isak situation. But yeah, I was surprised when that came up in the last hour or so. So Nick Volter-Made, very good player, I think. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. Now, listen. So when you click on this article, right, that Craig Hope's published on the Daily Mail, it's behind a paywall. So it kind of looks like this, right? And at the bottom, subscribe to continue reading, right? Now, if you go to archive.ph and go to the second box down and paste in the URL, it should give you a snapshot of that article. But what I just noticed is I sent the article to myself, look, on Telegram, yeah? And at the bottom there, it's got instant view. And I just clicked on instant view. And it's opened it all up. I didn't know about that. So I'm just tipping you off. I'm just trying to help you. Anyway, so what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to tell you the key points from the article. And then I've submitted the article to Dave. Dave's my AI assistant I've been training since last year to analyse football articles, the journalists that publish them, and the websites or newspapers that push them on us. And obviously, with that AI set up with Dave, we've got every single thing that Craig Hope has said, so we can compare from start to finish, right, from the coverage. So it's very useful. So the headline, exclusive. What really happened inside the Alexander Isak PIF Showdown Summit at his Darras Hall mansion. The summary is as follows. This is compiled by Dave. Craig Hope offers a theatrical inside look at the so-called final showdown between Newcastle's top brass and Alexander Isak at the striker's home. Isak, we're told, refused to back down and reiterated his desire to leave, making clear he will not play for the club even after the window closes. Newcastle still hope to sign 2 strikers, and they're reportedly close to Wick Volter-Made. Only then would they greenlight a sale. I dispute that personally. I think Newcastle are going to sell him to us anyway. Hope insists that Liverpool are expected to return with a second offer with 130 million plus as the likely target valuation. So that's a summary of the article. Honestly, it's a massive article. I'd still recommend you go and read it for yourself. So when we look at it, club propaganda breakdown. 1, lavish scene setting and personalised digs. Hope sets the tone with excessive visual details. Chauffeur-driven S-Class Mercedes, designer clothing, Range Rovers, and polished driveways. This isn't neutral reporting, it's emotional framing. By painting Isak's camp as rich, pampered, and aloof, Hope primes readers to see him as selfish and arrogant, in contrast to the hard-working club officials. Then comes a reference to Dan Burn, a comparison described as driving to the stadium at the exact time Isak is leaving his mansion. Burn is committed, Isak is absent. This is designed to make fans emotionally side with the club and to alienate the player. 2, shifting the burden onto Isak. Hope repeatedly suggests Newcastle have done all they can. Meetings at his house, security details and talks of senior PIF reps, offer of a new contract, gentle tone, not hostile, willingness of Howe and players to welcome him back. But at the same time, the article admits they've signed 0 strikers all summer. Isak made his intentions clear over a month ago, and the club is now scrambling with 4 days left. This is the club line. We're the reasonable ones here. He's the problem. It's a deliberate shift. 1 second, please. There's audio behind me. 1 second. Sorry about that. The projector is off, the TV is off, but I'd left the audio on, it just started coming through again. So where were we? This is the club line. We're the reasonable ones here, he's the problem. It's a deliberate shift of responsibility, blaming the player for holding firm, while obscuring the club's complete failure to plan ahead or act on his July request. 3, the overuse of stylish dramatic imagery. Hope calls the meeting a showdown, describes Isak's refusal as artillery fired, says the player is on a picket line, and labels the club reps the reservoir dogs. These metaphors are theatrical distractions. They create drama to divert attention from the core truth. Newcastle haven't replaced their striker, haven't resolved the issue, and they're playing games with 4 days to go. The focus is shifted away from accountability. So the key bullet points, Isak and Liverpool only. So you're my Liverpool audience, right? So there might be some Newcastle fans watching, getting ready to caps lock me to death in the comments. But, this is a Liverpool channel. So focusing on Isak and Liverpool, the meeting outcome. A high-stakes meeting took place, as we know, at Isak's mansion with the Newcastle co-owner, PIF directors. Isak and his team made it clear he does not want to stay and will not play either before or after the transfer deadline. The tone of the meeting. Hope writes that the club delegation were gentle in tone, implying Newcastle are being the grown-ups in the room, reinforcing the "we tried everything" narrative. Liverpool still expected to return. Sources expect Liverpool to submit a second offer with the £130 million plus range as the ballpark figure. Conditions for sale are repeated. Club still insists no deal unless 2 strikers arrive. This is the 3rd time this condition has appeared in Hope's recent articles. The Nick Voltemade update. A deal is reportedly close for the 23-year-old German striker. If completed, this would count as the first of 2 needed for Isak to be sold. But like I've said previously, I don't think if they only get 1 striker or something that they're not going to sell Isak because, well, I don't know. I don't need to go in. I've gone over it a million times before, but basically, whether the normal thinking is, well, we can let a striker go when we get a striker in because we need that player, until we get replaced. But he's not playing anyway, so I don't see how it makes a difference to things. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Talks about Wissa and Strand Larsen. Newcastle have had 2 bids rejected for Larsen. Latest 55 million. Wissa wants to come and his rep is in London waiting to fly. Hope confirms again that Brentford must first sign a replacement. Isak's stance remains firm. Will not play if forced to stay. Won't discuss contract offers. No contact with Howe in over a week. Hasn't spoke to many teammates either. Negotiation psychology. The article says Newcastle may gamble that Isak softens his stance after the window closes, admitting the club might simply try to wait him out. New tone from sources. There's a clear softening in language from Newcastle's side. There remains an acceptance that a sale could be best for all parties. This is a notable shift from previous defiance. Are there any changes or contradictions in the article? The core message, hasn't changed. Isak wants to leave. Newcastle say no unless conditions are met. But the tone has. And we've discussed this previously, haven't we? And many of you have picked up on that because you've posted comments saying, I see the tone change in the Newcastle journalists. The earlier narrative, they expect Isak to return, is now replaced by an acceptance of a sale. No mention now of reintegration or hope for a contract extension. That's gone. The metaphor count is rising, often a sign a journal has less hard facts to work with and is building around a vibe instead. And I think that is a great shout by Dave there. Honestly, I do. The metaphor count is rising, often a sign a journal has less hard facts to work with and is building around a vibe instead. And if you remember things like that, you start to pick those things up when you see other journalists, when they start with all the metaphors. So Dave's final verdict, this is a heavily stylized piece with a clear narrative. Newcastle have bent over backwards to keep Isak. The striker is being stubborn and unreasonable. If he just gave in, everyone would be happy. But once you strip away the Range Rovers, Mercedes and Reservoir Dogs, You're left with the same club who've known since July that their star striker wanted out and still have no replacements. This article exists to justify why Isak might be sold soon, therefore to protect the club image, to lay groundwork for fan anger to be directed at Isak, not the board, and to reframe a failure to plan as a noble last stand. So basically, we're getting close to the point where the club can say, we tried everything, he left us no choice. The article, or this article, is the first step in setting up that message. And this, I think it was only today, right? These days are very long for me, trust me. I think today I did a video on my opinions to do with the Isak situation and why I thought it was so quiet. And the reason I thought it was so quiet, and I said it in that video is, and when I say so quiet, I mean the journalists, the Northeast journalists have been churning out articles after articles every few hours for fucking days, right? But then silence, nothing really. And what I said this morning was, I think that's because Newcastle are preparing, to how to manage the sale to their fans, for example. Yeah, and I gave an example of it, of how that happens and my knowledge of learning about that with Liverpool over the years. If you watch the earlier Alexander Isak video today, if you can be asked, I do explain with an example of how an email was accidentally sent by Christian Persler when they were preparing to sack Rafa. Basically, that email was sent in the middle of the night. We're going to sack Rafa tomorrow. This is what we're going to say. This is how we're going to do it and manage it and all that. Because obviously fans can be upset and angry if you sack the manager, right? So this is a similar kind of thing. So the reason I think it's been quiet is because Newcastle, they've not been briefing these journalists, the press office and all that, because they can't brief them anymore. Oh, he's not for sale, right? So in other words, we're going to have to sell him. We're going to have to do business, which I think they've known for a long time anyway. And I think that they want to sell him. I do honestly, I believe that. And that's why it's been quiet, because they're preparing how to do all this, how to play it out, make him look the bad guy. We did everything, keep the fans on side. And that article there by Craig Hope absolutely does that and backs up my theory. I think so. I do. What do you think? Anyway, that's it. I'll leave it with you. Fucking Luke Edwards will chime in a minute. I don't even. I was watching a bit of telly. I just had me fish and a bit of mash and that. I was chilling. Anyway, listen. If you're a Newcastle fan, Nick Voltemade, he looks really, really good player. Very, very interested about how I would love to have seen Liverpool sign Nick Voltemade. I would. So, well, it's interesting to see how that goes. Newcastle fans, if they bank all this money and Voltemade is a hit, they might be like, what were we fucking worried about? Seriously, guys, Newcastle fans, it's massive for you. I really do think so. Liverpool fans, I've remained calm, cool as a cucumber, if you like, through all of this. And I still believe that we will complete and conclude a deal for him, whether they get one or two strikers over the door or not, over the line. I genuinely do. All right, that's it. There's no point waffling anymore. I think there was some key stuff in there from Dave with the analysis, and I'm going to leave that with you. All right. Luke Edwards, I'm sure, will chime in. I'm not coming back tonight, guys, if Luke Edwards... No one gives a fuck what Luke Edwards says, surely. He'll be just flip-flopping anyway. He's having a fucking breakdown, won't he? I want to see how he's going to get out of this, because he's been running his mouth big time on social media. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. So I'm sure we'll be talking about Luke Edwards in the morning after I've been to the cafe to review everything. And I'm sure there's going to be a Trent episode tomorrow because of the Champions League draw. All right, guys, I'll leave it with you. I'm sorry if the video is not great, if I've not expressed it or come across properly. I know I had that little interruption when the audio came on, but I'm tired, to be honest with you, and I was kicked back. But I had to make this video because I know you guys will be posting comments all night about Nick Voltemade going in to Newcastle, and I think that's one of the best breakdowns of all these articles Dave's done, to be honest with you. All right. If you did somehow find this video informative, please thumbs up the video. I'd appreciate that, guys. Please drop me a comment. Your comments on this one, I'll be sat over there reading them all. When I go up to bed tonight, I'll still be reading you. When I go for a piss at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, because I'm an old man now, I'll still be reading your comments. I really want to see what you've got to say about this. And also, shout out to Spectre, who said that he mentioned the other day, why are Newcastle not going for Nick Valtamade? Yeah? If you want to get me a beer or a coffee, there's a love out under the video. It's called a Super Thanks. I'm super, and I definitely deserve a thanks. And those of you that do that, that support my channel, I always give a shout out to you. The very next day, when I do a morning briefing, the morning briefings are on my other YouTube channel, Duncan Oldham, the link of which is in the video description below to that channel. And it'll also be, my mush will be on the screen somewhere around now, somewhere, I don't know, up there or somewhere. If you click on that, that takes you to my other channel, subscribe to that, and I'll give you a shout out tomorrow. Positive news, I think, if you're a Liverpool fan. And as daft as it may sound, I think it's positive news for Newcastle fans. I really do. They want this drama over, don't they? They want rid of it. Well, rid of him probably. I would never want him to play for my club again. I wouldn't. We're going to look at it from a different angle. We're going to look at it as well if he was lied to, to be honest with you, I really do want it to conclude. I'm getting to that point now where I want the transfer window to close just so we can just watch football. Do you know what I mean, guys? But we'll see. That bid's got to be made. I think it will be made, no doubt about it. And I do think it will be accepted. Newcastle, a lot of Newcastle fans have been saying Liverpool are disrespectful. I don't see how it's disrespectful by offering an excessive amount of money for for your player that don't want to play for you anymore. And additionally, also stating we will not bid unless you tell us to come back. We're not fucking with you kind of thing. You might say, well, you should have come in with the full price. Well, no, because, what sort of fucking idiot? Look, even if you're on Facebook Marketplace, right, trying to buy a dodgy radio for 50 quid that someone's selling for 50, you're not going to go in and go, I'll give you 50, mate. Are you? You're going to go, I'll give you 30. All right, it's business, innit? And look how you've been lowballing on some of these players you've been trying to sign as well. I just hope it settles down. And I hope Newcastle and Liverpool Liverpool fans can be friends again, because I've always had a great amount of respect for Newcastle and their club, and I've always wanted them to do well. Not too well against us, let's not talk about that. But you know what I mean? It's not a club that you want to have an issue with. Them journalists up there responsible for some of the toxicity, and who is it? Boogaloo's getting sent off the other night, running around like a fucking madman. Isak's not responsible for that. It's them journals stirring it up. Maybe they're passionate. Maybe that's a good thing. But I don't think they've done very well out of it all, to be honest with you. Right, well, see you. Thumbs up, comment, beer, coffee. I'm going out tomorrow for a few sherbets. All right. So this fucking better not go off tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm planning to go out tomorrow tea time for night. So I don't. If I go out tomorrow at 5 o'clock and it's fucking breaking news from Paul Joyce, you know what I mean? I'll be fuming. Fuming. All right, guys, enjoy your evening. If Luke Edwards come out, I can leave it till tomorrow, can't I? Yeah? Yeah, all right. Cheers.